we've had a lot of great games this season. A lot. We've had a lot of great games this season. But there's been a lot of parity in college football. There's been a lot of seeing teams that are really good, and then they're not really good. And they play really good, and then they don't play really good. And I'm going to receive a lot of hate from this from a certain fan base or certain fan bases, but Ohio State, you are not one of those really good teams. Penn State, you were not one of those really good teams. I had people tell me last week, oh, hey, the Ohio State-Penn State game, that was a great defensive game. And I said no, it was a terrible offensive game. Watching that game and seeing quarterbacks miss easy throws, like that's it. Marvin Harrison saves Ohio State. Penn State does not have a Marvin Harrison. Nobody has a Marvin Harrison. My point to that is, everybody said Georgia would struggle without Brock Bowers. Ohio State would struggle without Marvin Harrison. To the point where they would complain about not beating Georgia last year because of not having him. It is what it is. That's what it was. That's what people said. But watching Penn State play Indiana, and that great defense that Penn State has gave up, 28 points? Bro, come on. Stop. Like, you gave up more points to Indiana than you did Ohio State. Really? Come on, dude. Like, I'm not. And other people are like, yeah, but the matchups are different. You recruit in the top 10 every single year. Don't give me crap about matchups. Don't give me that. That's like Georgia playing against UT Martin, and if UT Martin scored 35, but Tennessee scores 13, it's like, well, UT Martin's just got different matchups. They're just made to put up points on. No, stop. There's a certain point when it gets out of control and it becomes like you don't know football. You don't know sports. You're just one of those people that's like, well, every game's different. No, stop. Penn State's not good. They haven't been good ever. Well, they win 9-10 games. Yeah, look who they play. Look who they play, and look who every year they lose to. They lose to the good teams that they play, and they beat the bad teams they play. Who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? Georgia fans. That sounds like somebody in particular, somebody that we got fed up with after a while, and we loved him. He's a good person, but we got tired of losing the big games. Yeah, sounds very similar. So I'm just saying, I'm not with all this crap of, well, who else are you going to find? No. I'm not saying fire him. I'm just saying, do not tell me that they are one of the top teams in the nation, because they're not. Sorry, went on a rant. Anyways, who's in? Who is in? The college football playoff comes out this following week. Who do we think is going to be in it? Be in the top four. Of course, you got your Georgia, you got your Michigan, you got Washington, you got Florida State, you got Texas, you got Oregon. Oklahoma just got beat, so they're out of the mix. And that's a tough move. And it being the college football playoff, and it being that it's going to be hard for some of these people to accept what I think is going to be, I'm going to give you my thoughts. You tell me what you think, okay? Right now, and I'm not saying this is how it will be, because I know teams have to play each other. I get that. I get it. Right now, I'm going Georgia at 1. I'm sorry. If this would have been last week, I'd have put Georgia at 2, Michigan at 1. Georgia at 1, Michigan 2. 3, I'm going Florida State. And I know I'm going to receive hate for not putting them at 4. But at 4, I was going to say Oregon. But Oregon lost to Washington. Washington's ahead of them. But when I see Oregon, I think of a better defense. But then, they made bonehead decisions on losing to Washington. But I've had people tell me, too, that Texas beat Bama. But Bama's a better team than Texas. Or, anyways, that's a tough one. Or or Oklahoma beats Texas, but then Texas is a better team than Oklahoma. So I'm going Oregon. All right? I don't care that Dan Lanning's their coach. I'm saying that from a defensive perspective, that if they were to play again, I think Oregon would win. I've seen Washington struggle too many times against subpar competition. I've seen a lot of these teams struggle against subpar competition. Ohio State probably has one of the best defenses that they've had in a long time. I'm not going to say that they're elite, but I'm going to say that it's one of the best that they've had. And their quarterback is not that good. I don't care about his completion percentage. When you compare him to past quarterbacks on Ohio State's roster, this man's putting up 18 points a game, 20 points a game, 24 points a game. Like, it's not what you're used to seeing at Ohio State. A win is a win, though. and I will give him that. Winning is a skill, but I think that's my 4. Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Florida State 3, and I'm going to go with Oregon at 4. This is for the college football playoff. We'll see. I could see them putting Oregon at 5 and putting Washington or Ohio State at 4, but I don't see them putting Oregon outside of 5. But you never know. Anyways, peace out.